If you're brand new to WordPress, then logging into the WordPress admin dashboard for the first time, it can feel pretty intense. Okay, so I'm creating this video because I want to give you guys just like an easy walkthrough of the WordPress admin dashboard. This video is going to be really perfect for you if you are brand new to WordPress, if you're trying to DIY your website, or it can be used as one of those videos that you send out to your clients if you're creating WordPress websites for them to give them an overview of the WordPress dashboard. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I'm Mariah from MariahMagazine.com, and on this channel, I help simplify SEO, websites, and tools to help you grow your online business in a way that works for you. So in today's video, we're just going to dive into the WordPress admin dashboard. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the first thing is like, how do you even get to the WordPress admin dashboard? So there's a couple ways here. One way might be logging into whatever company is hosting your websites, whether it's WP Engine, whether it's SiteGround, whether it's Bluehost, like whoever your hosting provider is. Typically they have a login button somewhere in there where you just click the button and it takes you to the WordPress dashboard. But the other way to do this is to view your website on the front end, then type in /wp-admin and click enter. Okay, so that's going to redirect you to this login screen. That URL, the WP-admin, it might be different depending on like who developed your website. Okay, so you can customize that URL. So if your website was developed by somebody, just double check with them like what the login URL is. But typically straight out of the box, if you're DIYing your website and like you kind of just downloaded WordPress, typically that's the login URL is WP-admin. So you're gonna log in with your username or email address and then with your password. Once you log in, you're going to be taken to a screen that looks like this, okay? And the reason why I'm using this specific WordPress website that I have access to is because it's pretty basic. Like, it's not a super advanced WordPress website where we have like a ton of plugins. We have a couple on here, but I wanted to show you guys like what everything looks like without too many things added to it, because that's ultimately is what is going to change how your WordPress dashboard looks, is like what theme you're using and what plugins you're using. Your WordPress dashboard might look a little different than mine. Just know that that's why. It's really dependent on the plugins, the themes, and kind of the extra codes that go into your WordPress website. So this is like your dashboard overview at a glance. To be honest, I never even look at this. Okay, so we have like a quick draft if you wanted to create like a quick post, and we just have some information here, the latest activity on the blog or the website. And then if you have the Yoast SEO plugin, typically Yoast will provide like some kind of overview thing on this dashboard. Okay, so you can also customize what this login screen looks like by clicking this button here, screen options, and then you can uncheck or check things, and then they will disappear or they will be added depending on the plugins and the themes that you're using. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about here is kind of just like how to navigate the WordPress dashboard. So you're going to see this left-hand menu here, and this is how you get to like all of the things on your website. So as you can see, as you're hovering over, some things pop out and you have some other options here. Okay, so also this left-hand menu, what is in here will also depend on your theme and on your plugins. Okay, so if yours doesn't look the exact same as mine, that's again why. So one of the first things that I want to talk about, because it's kind of popping out right here, is updates. So WordPress and the themes and the plugins and everything, they need to be updated relatively frequently to make sure that A, technology is being updated, B, to make sure that the developers behind the coding of the themes and the plugins and stuff like that, that they are taking care of any possible security issues. Okay, so it is best practice to update your plugins, your WordPress website, and your themes relatively quickly when a new update is released, just to keep everything kind of working well and to keep your website as secure as possible. Now, I will say, especially if you're kind of managing your WordPress website by yourself, keep in mind that updating your plugins and your themes and things like that, there is a potential to break your site with an update. Okay, so best practice is to make sure that you have a backup of your website before you go ahead and update anything on your website, just so if something happens, you have an option to kind of fall back on. And in terms of backups, typically hosting platforms provide backups and things like that. There are backup WordPress plugins. If your website was designed and developed by a professional, then go ahead and reach out to them and ask them how you should be handling updates. Okay, so I'm not going to dive any deeper into that. That's literally a conversation all on its own. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the actual plugin area. Okay, so we're going to come down here to plugins. And what plugins are, is they're essentially like little snippets of code that you get to add to your website. So that's the cool thing about WordPress, is that you can have a really basic website on WordPress, or you can have a super advanced and like complex website on WordPress. And kind of what makes the difference there is the themes and the plugins. Okay, so the plugins are little snippets of code that we essentially add to our website to add some functionality here. So when you click on plugins, you will see like which plugins exactly need to be updated. I'm not going to go ahead and talk about that again, but these are all of the plugins that are currently on this website. Okay, so they all do different things. And then if we want to access like the WordPress plugin, I think it's called the repository, go ahead and click add new here. And then you'll be able to scroll and get into a rabbit hole for a whole bunch of different kind of plugins, depending on what functionality you need for this website. So you can go ahead and search for plugins in here, can search for Google Analytics, and some plugins will pop up for that. I will say, don't go buck wild with adding plugins. Okay, so when you add too many plugins to your website, you're increasing the odds that there's a coding conflict between the plugins, between the themes, and all of that, because they're coding snippets developed by different developers. Okay, so when you're adding too many plugins, there could be an increase in coding conflict, which could make the potential of your website breaking even higher. The other thing is website loading speed. Okay, so when you're adding a whole bunch of coding snippets to a website and you're not careful of like how big those plugins are, they do have the potential to slow down your website or take up a lot of space on your hosting server and things like that. Okay, so that is kind of an overview of the plugin repository. If your website was developed by somebody, you likely already have all of the plugins that you need right here in your plugins list. Okay, so the other thing, when you click add new, you can also upload a plugin. So this is like if you bought a WordPress plugin from, I don't know, like Creative Market or something like that, a plugin that's maybe not in the WordPress repository, or if you have like a pro version of a plugin, you could essentially click this button here and upload that plugin file. But like I said, just make sure that you're a little aware of what you're doing before you do that. Okay, so that's kind of the overview of plugins. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is themes. So if we hover over appearance here, we can click on themes. The theme is essentially like the design layer on top of your WordPress download. Okay, so how your website looks design-wise will depend on the theme that you're using. If one of these themes needed to be updated, we would see which theme needed to be updated. Okay, so one of those like pop-up things will show up here. So yeah, this is an overview of the themes that are currently on this website. You can click this button, add new themes, and it will take you kind of like the plugin repository. It's going to take you to the free themes in the theme section. Okay, so you can search for themes here. These are, if I'm not mistaken, all free themes that you can download, and you have the ability to preview them, install them, yada, yada, yada. And then we also have the option here to upload a theme as well. So if you bought a premium theme, or if you got a theme from somebody and you wanted to upload that here, you just click upload theme and upload the file. And that's kind of how you add like premium themes to your WordPress account. But like I said, if your WordPress was developed by a designer or developer, you don't have to worry about this. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is posts. So posts are essentially blog posts. So if you wanted to create a blog post on your website, you can hover over posts or click on it. And this right here, this is a list of all of the blog posts on this website. So you can click add new and you'll be taken to the blog post page. Okay, so this is where you add your blog post title, and then you can start typing and start adding your blog post content. Okay, after you add some content, you'll likely see this toolbar here. So you can bold things, italicize things, link things, so you can pop a URL. I will say that if you're adding a URL that links to a page off of your website or like a different domain name, just remember to open those links in a new tab, okay? It's kind of like a user experience and an SEO thing. So that is how you can hyperlink text. You can also pop this down and you can see different things that you can do to the text. And then you can click options. You can kind of play around with this stuff. And then you can click this add button here. And this is where you'll be able to add like an image or another heading, a quote, a list, all of these different content blocks. Okay, so you can click browse all and you got a full list. And this list will likely also change depending on the plugins and the theme that you're using. Okay, so after you're done, let's say you want to publish this blog post, you can go ahead and click publish. You can save it as a draft, so it kind of only saves in the back end of your website, or you can preview it to see what it looks like on the front end. So this is how, really pretty, right? Like this is how my blog post looks on the front end. And then you can click the gear icon and you have a bunch of settings and things like that. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. I kind of wanted to keep this dashboard a little simple, but to head back over to the main WordPress dashboard, click your logo in the left-hand corner. I'm interrupting this video really quick because I created something super awesome and I want to share it with you. So if you need help planning out your SEO keywords for your blog posts, for your product pages, for your homepage, for any page on your website, then definitely check out my SEO keyword planner. It's a 5-page editable workbook created in Google Sheets that will help you brainstorm, organize data, and strategize your keywords accordingly. I include tips, best practices, and examples to help you get started. Click the link in the video description below to check it out. So the other thing that I want to talk about is pages. Okay, so pages, the dashboard when you add a new page, it looks pretty similar to adding a blog post. Okay, so there's a difference between pages and blog posts. Blog posts are kind of like a collection of pages that are like based on content that you're creating, where pages are like standalone things. So you can think of them as like blog posts are like for your blog, and pages are like the home page, the about page, the contact page. Like those are standalone single pages where the blog post can kind of be connected together. Okay, so with posts, you can go ahead and you can add categories and tags to kind of organize your blog post in a way that makes it easy for your users to be able to navigate. Pages, you don't have that capability. You don't add a category or a tag to a page. A page is just a standalone page, okay? And then I'm just going to show you kind of the difference on the front end. So I should probably explain that. To view your website on the front end, go ahead and click whatever your WordPress name or title or like the little home icon right here. Go ahead and click on that. And then you'll be able to see the difference here. So this is an about page. I think I created this about page not with the native WordPress editor that we just saw, but I actually added Elementor, the plugin, to kind of create a page that looked a little bit more dynamic. And so then this is an example of a blog post. Is when you click on blog, these are all single blog posts. Okay, so as you can see, they kind of look a little different. So that's kind of the front end difference between those. But let's head back to the dashboard. So how you do that, you can click right up here in the same section, and you can click dashboard, and it'll take you right back to the WordPress dashboard. So the next thing that I wanted to go over was the media library. Okay, so if you click on media right here, this is a library of all of the images on your website. Okay, so if you upload an image either on a post or a page, it will live in here in your media library. So you can click on these and you can see this is your image alt text, your title, you can add a caption, description, all of this fun stuff. Okay, so that is your media library there. If you wanted to bulk upload or just add images to your website from here, you can click add new and then you can drop the files, select the files, however you want to do it. Okay. So after that, let's take a look at comments. If you have any comments on any of your blog posts, those comments will show up here. I will say that a lot of the time, especially for newer blogs, the comments are usually spam. So you just have to keep in mind, like, read the comment, see if it makes sense. A lot of the spam comments, it's really obvious that they're spam. So you can go ahead and you can delete them. A plugin to download to kind of like sift through the spam comments, it's called Akismet Anti-Spam. This is a plugin that I download on all of my WordPress websites, and this is how to reduce the amount of spam comments that happen on your blog. So if you have any comments, that's kind of where those live. You'll be able to view them, trash them, mark them as spam, approve them, blah, 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 all of that stuff. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is the customizer. So if you go to Appearance and you click on Customize, your screen will look something similar to this. Like a lot of things with WordPress, how this looks is going to be dependent on the theme or the plugins that you're using. So you can kind of sift through this menu option and just see the options that you have. Site identity, so this is the site title, tagline. I can upload a site icon here, which is this cute little logo right in there. And then if we head back, this is where we can mess with colors, background images, all of this stuff, okay? Additional CSS, if you wanted to add some coding to your website. If you're not familiar with this, maybe we don't dive into this. So head back. I'm just gonna click the X button here. We're gonna head back to the dashboard. Okay, so the other thing that actually popped up in the customizer menu that I wanted to show you is menus. Okay, so I clicked on menus by clicking Appearance and Menus. These are the different menus that live on your website. So I am going to view the website from the front end. So I just clicked on Visit Site and then I just opened it in a new tab so I could keep this tab open as I'm showing you the front end. So this right here is my main menu, and how I would add things to the main menu is by clicking Appearance, Menus, and then choosing my primary navigation menu. And then these are all of the pages on my site. These are posts. And then there's landing pages, which this website doesn't have any, and then custom links. So if you wanted to link to a page or a website that's not directly related to yours, you can go ahead and add that to your menu. So we'll just do this as a test here. And then the link text is like what text links to that link that you're creating. So we'll just do Facebook. You can add it to your menu and you'll see it pop up right here. So with these menus, you can drag them. So you can drag them to the top there. So if I drag it here and I click Save Menu, and then I refresh that home page, you'll see that Facebook got added before home right here. Okay, so the other thing that we can do, if we wanted to add it as like a drop down, we can go here and kind of move it so it's indented a little bit and you'll see sub item. So go ahead and click Save Menu there. And then if we refresh this, you'll see when you hover over it, then that's where the Facebook link is. Okay, so your website, depending on your themes, your plugin, your style, your menu will be displayed differently. It also might be called something different. So I'm actually just going to delete this. So I'm going to click Remove. And then we can click the secondary menu and click Select. And then these items here on this website for this theme, this is where the secondary menu shows up. Sometimes the secondary menu will show up in the footer. Sometimes it'll show up in other places. So just know that this is very dependent on your theme, on your plugins, on the development of the site. Okay, so that is a quick overview of menus. The other thing that I wanted to go over is widgets, okay? So click on widgets and you'll see these are like different widget areas, okay? So if your theme has space for you to create a sidebar, so some websites, when they're really blog focused, their sidebar will show up on their pages. Or other people just have their sidebar showing up on blog posts. Some people don't have a sidebar at all, okay? So on this website, we have the sidebar showing up on the single blog pages. So everything in here that you see on the right-hand side, this is put into my primary sidebar widget area. So these are also drag and drop. So you can see this image. I just uploaded the image that I wanted there. And so the available widgets are over here to the left, and you can drag and drop them and put them into these widget areas. Okay, so I'm actually, if you pull it out, then it disappears, which is really great. Or you can click that area and just click delete. But we're gonna scroll down here. So sometimes if you don't want like a widget in your primary sidebar, but you don't want it to disappear because you've maybe added some customization settings or something like that, like this text, if I didn't want to just drag it over here and have it poof, disappear into thin air, you can drag it down here into inactive widgets, and that will remove them from the sidebar but keep their settings. Okay, so that's an important thing to know too. So put that there. And then sometimes with WordPress themes, you have your primary sidebar and then the footers are also created with widgets. So this is very theme dependent too, but if you wanted to create a footer using widgets, let's just see what this footer looks like. I don't even know. So this seems to have like a menu here and then an image and then social links. So I know that I actually created this one with Elementor, but if your footer is created with widgets, then you can essentially do the same thing. So we can go over to image, put it in footer 2, add the image, blah, 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 blah. Once it's saved, you'll be able to look at the front end of your website, refresh it, and it should populate. Okay, so like I said, this is also very dependent on the theme that you're using, but that is a really quick overview of widgets. So I'm going to close out of this. We're going to head back over to the dashboard here. And then the other thing is users. Okay, so users, if you wanted to add a user to your WordPress website, you would add them here. This is really great if you're working with a website designer, developer, copywriter, blog post writer, SEO strategist, basically just somebody that you want to give access to your website, but you don't want to give them your admin login information. Just click add new, and then you can go ahead and add them as a user to your website. This is also great because when they're done working with you, you can delete their access to your website. Okay, so let's see. Another thing here, we have tools. I'm not going to go into this. This might be really overwhelming. Settings. So what's important in settings is permalinks, okay? So the permalink automatically for WordPress, it's set up with either one of these three options here, okay? And so when you have your permalinks and your URL structure set up, likely you don't want the date in there unless you're like a website that creates content that's like newsworthy or something, where like the date really matters. So like the New York Times, okay? So the New York Times will probably want to have their date in there. What we don't want is this plain URL because it's really bad for SEO. Okay, so like the Google bots are going to see this and be like, what does that even mean? This gives me zero context clues about what this blog post is. So it's going to be harder for your blog post to rank in search engines. The ideal permalink structure that we want to use is post name. Okay, so make sure that this one is selected when you're first starting out with your website. If you're watching this video and your website has been around for a while, or you have blog posts, but the permalink URL structure is already set to plain, then do not come in here and change it to post name automatically without either talking to a WordPress developer or somebody that understands this, because you're gonna have to set up 301 redirects to direct these old URLs to the new URLs so that you don't have broken links all over your website. Okay, so I will mention that. But yeah, if you can do post name, especially if like you're just getting started with WordPress, that is superb for SEO. And then speaking of SEO, if you wanted a really great SEO plugin, you can use Yoast SEO. I use it on all of my clients' websites when I'm doing SEO with them and on my own website. It's basically just a tool to help you SEO optimize your page, your posts, and all of that. They have a free version and a paid version. I'm not going to go into that in this tutorial, but if you want to help get your content found on Google, it is a really great tool that us WordPress users get access to. Okay, so like there isn't a WordPress plugin for Shopify or Squarespace or anything like that. So we kind of have it made in the shade when it comes to that. But overall, I think that's everything that I want to cover for the WordPress dashboard. So that's it for today's video. And like I said in the intro, I know that WordPress, it can feel pretty intense when you're just getting started with it. So leave me a comment below if you have any questions about WordPress or designing or setting up your website or plugins or themes or any of that stuff so that I can create a video to help you guys out. And if you found this video helpful, give me a really quick thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next video.